Hey folks, this is James W. Falcon, and welcome to the very first episode of Studying the Bible 101. Studying the Bible 101. This is why I wanted to do this. This has been something that's been in my heart to do for some time now. This has been brewing, percolating, if you will, in my mind now for several years. Why? Well, presently, the present day reasons are as follows. When I'm on social media, whether it's TikTok, Facebook, wherever I am, I notice there are a ton of people that are popping up who are discrediting and basically throwing a bunch of shade on the Bible. Now, the Word of God is not mine to defend, so I'm not that person. But I will say this: I think it's rather odd that people are going to great lengths to discourage others from seeing the Bible as what it is, a book filled with wisdom, filled with tons of goodness, and filled with a story of redemption, our redemption, human redemption, as told to us by God through men and women and their inspired writings. I find it really odd that everybody is telling you what to think. They're telling you the position that they think you should have regarding the scriptures, but nobody is inviting and encouraging people to study the book, to read the book for themselves. So into that mix I come because I want to share with folks a system, an approach, a study process that I have been using soundly with many benefits and with a lot of application on how to actually read and study the Bible. There's nobody out there doing that. So I want to be one of the few people that turns the tide, that swims upstream to be able to invite and encourage everyone, not just your Christian leaders, not just the people that sit in pulpits and in lofty positions and places in churches, but I want to encourage, invite, and pique the interest of the average pew sitting Christian, whoever you are. And I don't mean that as a dig. I'm just trying to say what I want to bring to bear here is going to be beneficial for any and for everybody who desires to want to know what the Bible is about. What does it say? How can I trust what I'm reading? How do I know that the way I'm studying is going to be fruitful, beneficial? How can I get the very best understanding from the book myself? So I will say all of that to say this point, and I think this is an extraordinary point. Long time ago, when I was making the transition from high school to college, I have always had a fascination, a love, and a deep seated passion for the sciences, especially for psychology, which is why I have been a lifelong learner and a lifelong psychology. So I am presently at 54 years old, still in school, studying psychology, excuse me. And I will the rest of my life. I love the science. I love the topic that much. On my way from high school to college, unfortunately, I didn't do very well with standardized testing. I had a very low, like in the 700s SAT score. Thank God I didn't have to do any standardized testing to get into grad school, or I might have fumbled that ball too. So I had this lofty idea, listening to some friends and family, because I was told that psychology will never amount to much. You won't ever you won't have a reasonable salary. You can't make a living from doing psychological related things. And I kind of listened to that. I caved to that mindset, and to that sentiment. So when I got to the campus of Howard University to register for classes, I had this lofty idea that I was going to become an engineer. I strolled into the engineering school, and this is a true story, as heartbreaking as it is. but it has a good outcome, and that's the reason I want to share this. So I strolled into the engineering department. I was on campus that day with my mother and father, and we were walking the campus just looking like a Japanese tourist in New York City, like, wow, I had finally gotten to college. I had finally gotten to a place in life where I was going to be able to be free of living at home and being here in Baltimore. Not that anything was wrong with home or anything that was wrong with Baltimore, but every teenager wants to become an adult and to be emancipated into adult like responsibilities as quickly as possible. And so I was one of those teenagers. So there I was on the campus of Howard University. I strolled into the engineering school, and I remember the woman was there in the lobby because they had a setup to accommodate students who were registering going from building to building on foot. This was before the era of online registration and all those kind of things that we enjoy today. So I strolled into the School of Engineering, and the lady behind the glass, she said, "Let me see your SAT scores." And I kind of gulped, and I showed her my piece of paper, and she looked at my scores, and she said, "No, man." She said, "Son, you're not going to be able to get into the School of Engineering with these grades. They're much too low." She said, "Why don't you try the social sciences around the corner?" And it was a real kick in the scrotum. It really was. It was a deep kick that took my breath because my goals, my dreams, my aspirations had been dashed, so I thought. So I boogied on around to the school, the social sciences, and I became a human development major. I don't know why, for whatever reason, I think psychology wasn't open. I can't remember. But I became a human development major, saying to myself, as soon as I get the first chance, I'm going to switch over officially to psychology. And so, with that, because I had such low SAT scores, I had to take some remedial classes. One of the remedial classes was reading, the other was remedial mathematics. Both areas I was really weak in, and especially as per my SAT scores. And so reality kind of kicked in, and I realized, okay, well, engineering is not going to work. Let me just go back to the path that I was originally intending to travel. So I registered as a human development major, and I had to take these remedial courses. Now, these remedial courses were in trailers, in mobile devices, mobile well, buildings on the back side of the campus of some of the main buildings on Howard University's campus. And when I would go around to these classes, my friends would joke me and they would laugh and say, "You're going to your special ed classes and so on." But here's what was extraordinary. While I really felt down and less than to have to go to these courses, here's what I learned. They taught me how to study, how to use the principles and the practices of underlining and highlighting with different color highlighters different things in paragraphs on pages in the books that I read, and how to put notes in the mark. All things you would think I would have known by that point in time. But they approached it as a science, as a real hard line practice. And that practice is something I still use today. If you pick up any book of mine, I'm here behind this laptop device is my little library, and I can pick up any one of these books and show you definitively that I still use that process of underlying today. Because what I learned in those remedial classes was actually how to study. It's so funny, I find that for we who are students, one of the things that we are never told is how to actually study. We are told many times that we need to study, we are told that we have to study, but nobody has ever explained to me up until that point in my life at 18 years old how to actually study. My point behind that is going back to the basics and learning how to study any topic is very, very important. And that's the same principle that I'm using today, as I explained, but it's the same principle that fuels me wanting to do this particular series on how to study the Bible. We're going to go back to the basics. And some of these basics you have never been taught. You've never known. You've never experienced some of these things. But I'm going to share with you what somebody did for me. They set me down in the basement of my home in East Baltimore and they pulled out necessary tools, and they actually showed me how to connect the dots to be able to get the best meaning possible out of the scriptures and the passages in the Bible that I was reading. And they showed me all the behind the scenes tools, the auxiliary tools to be able to use to get the best understanding possible. And I'm going to do the same for you, whoever you are, my listening and my viewing friend. If you want a good, solid understanding and approach to reading and studying the scriptures, I'm going to give it to you on this in this series, and I promise you it will be transformational, because what folks on social media are not telling you is they're not giving you the choice. I hate it when somebody tries to take away my choice. Okay, tell me something's not worth my while. Okay, tell me why you think I shouldn't do something, why I shouldn't be a part, why I shouldn't read. Okay, cool. But what I would prefer you to do at this age is to show me what the thing is about and let me make my own decision. That's what I'm going to do in this series. I'm going to show you how you can read and study the Bible so you can make your own decision. If at the end of this journey you find, yeah, I don't believe what's in the Bible, I'm not subscribing to any of that, it's all a bunch of baloney and hoopla, and I'd rather not engage or be inclined to listen or to believe any of that, then fine. But at least do yourself a favor and create for yourself the option. Join me in this series, How to Study the Bible 101, and have your own decision. Make your own decision. Have a choice. Take advantage of the option. I always say the difference between poverty and wealth is that the wealthy have options. Those who are poor don't. They have fewer options. So I consider myself to be a wealthy man, not because of what's in the bank, but because of the fact that I always like to position myself to have as many options as possible. Because in that option having process and the option selecting process, therein lies my wealth, my destiny, my choice. My decision making is what I want to prevail. Not I don't want you, I don't need you, and I don't have you to think for me. I can do that on my own. I've been doing just fine in these 54 years of life, and I will continue to do just fine looking at the information and making an informed decision that could be guided by my mind or my heart and soul's desire. But in either case, it's my decision to make. And I want you, my listening and my viewing friend, to have that very same choice. So join me for this podcast series called How to Study the Bible 101. I guarantee it'll be transformational, and you will celebrate the journey of learning that you will be on. So join us for this series and for the episodes to follow. It'll be on my YouTube channel and streaming live, as well as I will have some pre-recorded segments that'll post through my social media accounts of Facebook, of Twitter, and on Instagram and everywhere else that I can think to put this. And it'll also stream live and be posted pre-recorded on my YouTube channel, Encouragement by Design 2022. So wherever you want to tune in, feel free to tune in. And when you listen, be attentive, take notes, do everything that I'm advising and suggesting that you do, and I guarantee you will be all the better for the outcome. And in addition to that, I want to invite you to like, to comment, to share, and to subscribe. And I promise you a transformation that you yourself will enjoy from deep within. James W. Falcon here, and this is my introductory segment for my brand new series, How to Study the Bible 101. I look forward to being with you and to meeting with you in your sacred spaces. Until our next episode, peace and power to you and to yours. Take care.